I brought these books from home. They're only a small portion of the books you've written. What was there in your life, especially your early life, that would give you the thoughts to fill so many books?
Hard work, training, and a good environment. I was very fortunate in having lived as a child and as a young boy in an environment where there were many people I could revere, people concerned with problems of inner life, of spirituality, of integrity, people who have shown great compassion and understanding for other people.
But your life itself has not been an easy life. You escaped from Poland just before the Nazis came in. What experiences of life have found their way into these books?
I would say, again, my background, my early upbringing. I would criticize my early upbringing as deficient in one respect and very rich in another respect. Deficient in what is maybe called the art of relaxation, sports. I'm not the sporty type, unfortunately, but very rich in moments of exaltation. This enabled me to stand a little bit above the circumstances of life and to take a perspective from which I could see the world, so to speak, from a higher point of view. In other words, I was trained as a child to live a life, or to strive to live a life which is compatible with the mystery and marvel of human existence.
And learning about it. What is the role of learning?
The role of learning was decisive. First of all, the supreme value ascribed to learning, and learning being a source of inspiration, learning being the greatest adventure, learning being a source of joy, and in fact, learning for the purpose of discovering of the importance of self-discipline. The realization, namely, that a life without discipline was not worth living.
Perhaps a life without surprise is not worth living either. You recently told an interviewer that what keeps me alive is my ability to be surprised. What has surprised you lately?
Everything. This may be my weakness. You know, you quoted once a statement from the book of Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under the sun, and I disagree with that statement. I would say there's nothing stale under the sun, except human beings who become stale. I try not to be stale, and everything is new. No two moments are alike, and a person who thinks that two moments are alike has never lived. The secret of it is a very profound principle in philosophy, that I would call the sense for the unique. Do you know that among 1 billion faces in this world, no two faces are alike? The other day, a person complained to me. He went to the Metropolitan Art Museum, and he was bewildered because no two paintings looked alike.
One of the most arresting titles of your many books would be this one, God in Search of Man. Is God in search of man?
That's a paradox. In fact, if God would consult me, I would tell him...
Does he?
He doesn't. He's too wise to consult me. I would say, why do you care about man? The biggest message of the Bible and of the prophets of Israel is that God takes men seriously. You remember he created Adam and Eve, and they immediately failed. He was disappointed, but he kept them alive. Then they gave birth to 2 boys, very nice boys. I'm sure they got some very excellent education in a private school, or in a public school, I'm not sure, but certainly in a good environment. They didn't live in the slums, you know. And you know what one brother did to the other? God should have been disgusted. He said, no, I will keep the human species alive. I'm waiting. Maybe someday there will be a righteous generation. And throughout history, seen by the Bible, there's one disappointment for God after another, and he's still waiting for mankind which will live by justice and compassion. He's in search of men. Now let me say to you there are essentially 3 points. One, God in search of men to me is a summary of all of the Hebrew Bible. Two, it expresses the idea of Judaism about the position of man in the universe. Man is terribly important. If God is so concerned about men, which surprises me again, why shouldn't God be concerned more about, let us say, cosmic energy or the astronaut techniques? He's interested about widows and orphans in Jerusalem. My Lord, if he were to ask me, I would say it's beneath your dignity. You, God of the universe, should be concerned about the poor, about the disadvantaged. Yes, he is. Man is very important to God.
And the third point?
The third point would be the nature of religion. The nature of religion is not just a long-ranging feeling of man searching for God. I think that God is more in search of men than man is in search of God. He gives us no rest. We have for generations, for decades, for centuries, tried to refute the existence of God, as if he didn't exist. And in spite of everything, man is still searching. Man is still waiting. Man is still longing. Man has discovered and is discovering that a man without God is like a torso, a body without a head. In this.
But man is searching also because, if you'll forgive me, there's a certain absurdity, a certain purposelessness, or perhaps undiscoverable purpose. Let me cite an example. 10 days before Martin Luther King was killed, you, as a good friend of his, addressed a convention of the Rabbinical Assembly, and you said, Martin Luther King is a sign that God has not forsaken the United States of America. And that 10 days later, he was dead in the most cruel and purposeless fashion. It's that sort of question that challenges faith. How do you explain that?
If we understand the Bible properly, and very few people these days study the Bible properly, we atomize the Bible, we tear it to pieces. Instead of immersing in the thoughts of the Bible, you discover that God shares life with man, and he has given men freedom, a very questionable gift, and the most outstanding gift man has. Men can do anything. When the first son of the first couple decided to murder his brother, he did what he pleased, and God did not interfere.
But that raises the question, though. If you're saying that if God were to control every aspect of man's life, it would not be living, then that raises the question, why pray to God then? If God is not going to interfere, if God is not going to intervene, if God is not going to help, what is the role of prayer?
First of all, let us not misunderstand the nature of prayer, particularly in Jewish tradition. The prime